All right, so for this deep dive, you guys threw us a real curveball this time.
Yeah, this one's interesting.
Yeah, it's a podcast episode called Console Wars 2.0, Xbox versus PlayStation versus TikTok teens,
Oh, wow.
which is just like, whoa, what is going on
A
there?
lot to unpack there.
Yeah, so we've got two hosts, Alex and Jamie,
Okay.
and Alex is very much Team Xbox.
I see.
And Jamie is very much Team PlayStation.
Okay.
And they cram like a whole hour of debate and observations and stuff into this one episode.
Got it.
So our mission today is to try to understand,
All right.
what's happening right now in the console market.
Yeah.
Because they're sort of talking about this like classic rivalry between Xbox and PlayStation.
The console war.
The console wars,
Yeah.
exactly.
Still raging.
Still raging. And then they bring in this whole other element of like
Right.
the influence of TikTok and its teenage users.
Oh, wow.
So
Interesting.
yeah, it's a fascinating one. And they have this kind of like energy about the whole thing, which is fun. So we're going to try to,
Capture that.
capture that same kind of energy.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so right off the bat, what really struck me was how they set up this whole Xbox versus PlayStation thing.
Yeah, what's their take on this, like, enduring rivalry?
Yeah, because it's like a decades-long story, right, in gaming?
Absolutely. It's almost like these two titans clashing,
Yeah, and they're not just talking about
Right?
who has the better console. Like, right now they're talking about, like, the whole history.
Yeah, the legacy.
The legacy of it, yeah. And how that sort of plays out in today's market.
Okay. Interesting.
So Alex, who's Team Xbox, he immediately starts like, championing Xbox Game Pass.
Oh, yeah, Game Pass. That's a big one.
Right. It's like
That's huge.
the thing for Xbox right now. And he's presenting it as this like incredible deal.
Okay, yeah, I can see the appeal.
You get access to all these like huge titles like Starfield
Mhm.
and Halo.
Names.
Yeah, and this massive library of other games for one monthly subscription.
Okay, so it's kind of like the Netflix of gaming.
It's exactly like that. And
Yeah.
he's really hitting hard on that.
Makes sense.
Compared to PlayStation's, traditional model of buying games individually.
Yeah, which can add up quickly.
Yeah, he makes it sound like you're spending way more.
Yeah, you're nickel and diming it, right?
Yeah, if you go the PlayStation route.
So what's PlayStation's counter argument?
Well, that's where Jamie comes in, right? So he's like, no.
Uh-huh.
PlayStation is all about these like really powerful story-driven games.
Okay.
They're known for their exclusives, right?
Yeah, their exclusives are huge.
So he's bringing up games like God of War,
Classic.
Sharon,
Another massive title.
which, by the way,
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 that's coming out this year.
I know, I'm excited.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So he's saying like these are like the real deal.
Okay.
These are like amazing high-quality games, and that's why you're willing to pay for them individually.
Yeah, you're paying for that premium experience.
Exactly. And he even throws in a little dig about the PS5's design.
What does he say?
He's like, oh, it's a bit more, modern looking than
Than the Xbox.
what's on the Xbox.
Yeah,
So
sorry. I kind of remember that whole thing about the Xbox looking like a refrigerator.
it's true. They were having a lot of fun with that in the original podcast.
Yeah.
But, Alex isn't just going to sit there.
No way.
He comes right back with like, okay, but Xbox has this cloud gaming technology.
Right, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's like you can be playing these graphically intensive games
Yeah.
on basically anything.
On your phone.
Yeah, on your phone, on your tablet,
That's pretty amazing.
on like a low-end PC if you want.
Yeah.
And Jamie's like, yeah, but you need a good internet connection for that.
It's true. Cloud gaming is amazing,
Yeah.
but it does have that limitation.
Yeah, and not everyone has access to that super reliable high-speed internet.
Especially in certain parts of the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But then on the PlayStation side,
Uh-huh.
they've got the PlayStation VR 2.
Oh, yeah, VR gaming.
Right. Which is a whole other thing. It's like a much more immersive way to play games.
Yeah, it can be really mind-blowing.
But it's also a separate investment, right?
You need the headset, the
Yeah.
controllers,
Yeah, you need the whole setup.
and a pretty powerful PS5 to run it.
Right. So it's not like you're just picking up your phone and playing wherever you are.
It's a different kind of experience.
Yeah, it's definitely a different approach, and it seems like they're appealing to different
Right.
kinds of gamers. Right?
Yeah, different priorities.
So Xbox is going for accessibility and value through Game Pass
Okay.
and the cloud,
Uh-huh.
and PlayStation is leaning more into like these really high quality exclusive games.
Right.
And this dedicated hardware like the VR.
So you got these two different strategies.
Yeah, exactly. And just when you think you've got a handle on this whole console war thing,
What happens?
they bring in TikTok.
Oh, wow. So that's where the TikTok teens come in.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay, lay it on me.
So they're basically saying that, like, Gen Z and TikTok are, like, a major force
Okay.
that are kind of shaking things up.
In the gaming world.
In the gaming world, yeah.
Interesting.
They're bringing up the example of Among Us.
Oh, yeah, that game blew up.
It did. It, like, came out a while ago.
Yeah, it was kind of under the radar for a bit.
And then all of a sudden it was, like, everywhere.
And TikTok was a big part of that, right?
It was, like, everyone was playing it. Everyone was talking about
all the memes and the videos.
And it was all over TikTok.
Yeah, that's a great example of how powerful TikTok can be.
Exactly.
Like, it can take a game from obscurity to global phenomenon.
And it's not just that.
What else?
They're saying that this is actually changing how games are being made.
Oh, wow. So
like, developers are now thinking about, like, okay, if we want this game to go viral on TikTok, it needs to be, it needs to have content that's, like, short and easy to share and meme-worthy.
Oh, so they're designing games with TikTok in mind.
Yeah, they brought up games like Fall Guys.
I love Fall Guys.
Yeah, it's, like, perfect for those quick little clips.
Right. It's all visual comedy in quick rounds.
Exactly. And then there's Poppy Playtime.
Oh, yeah, that's a creepy one.
Which is, like,
very popular on
Very popular, yeah, for all the, like, creepy, scary stuff.
So these games are designed for those, like, short attention spans.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, how are these traditional, longer console games gonna adapt to that? Like, if that's what people are into now, these short little bursts of entertainment.
It's a good question. Like, are we moving away from those, like, epic 40-hour campaigns?
Yeah, could be. And they talked about how both PlayStation and Xbox are trying to figure out TikTok.
Right. Everyone's trying to crack the TikTok code.
Yeah, so PlayStation seems to be doing a lot of branded content.
Like, what kind of stuff?
Like, they had this whole thing with PS5 skits.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those.
Where they were getting people to make these little skits.
Yeah.
About the PS5.
Yeah, like funny little sketches.
Exactly.
Using the console.
And Xbox, they're kind of, like, leaning more on their history with Minecraft.
Oh, yeah, they have a lot of Minecraft stuff.
Yeah, a lot of memes from the past.
Yeah.
So it feels like PlayStation is, like, really actively trying to be present on TikTok right now.
Yeah, they're trying to stay relevant.
Yeah, and what's interesting is it seems to be working.
Really?
Yeah, they were saying that even though Xbox has this history with Minecraft, the buzz, the engagement seems to be more around PlayStation right now.
Interesting. So you really have to keep up with the trends.
Yeah, you can't just rely on what worked a few years ago.
No. Things move so fast on social media.
Exactly. And the big takeaway is that, like, a game's presence on TikTok can really make or break it.
That's a huge shift.
Yeah, it's not just about reviews and, big marketing campaigns anymore.
Yeah, like that traditional media blitz.
Right.
Doesn't necessarily guarantee success.
Exactly.
So how does this affect the way games are being marketed now?
Well, they had this whole segment called Marketing Mayhem. Where they were talking about how, like, there's this clash between, like, traditional marketing and these new digital strategies.
Right.
So PlayStation, they give the example of PlayStation spending $5 million on a Super Bowl commercial.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. And that's, like, classic traditional marketing.
Reach the biggest audience possible.
Yeah, just, like, hit everybody with this message.
Right.
And Xbox, on the other hand, they seem to be focusing more on influencer marketing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like they're working directly with Twitch streamers. They had this whole thing where they hired this young influencer to do an unboxing of Xbox Series S.
So they're going for a more targeted approach.
Yeah, like going where the gamers already are.
And getting them to spread the word.
Exactly. But PlayStation's not completely ignoring the digital stuff.
What are they doing?
They had those, like, Horizon Forbidden West filters on TikTok.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, so people could, like...
put themselves in the game.
Yeah, put themselves in the game world.
That's a cool way to engage people.
Exactly. And then they talked about the Call of Duty Operator Dance Challenge.
Oh, wow.
Which got, like, billions of views on TikTok.
Billions? That's insane.
And it makes you wonder, like... do you even need those traditional game trailers anymore?
If you can get that kind of engagement on TikTok, like, it's a totally different way to market a game.
Yeah, and it seems to be working.
So what else did they talk about?
So then they got into the idea of community clash, which is basically like, those really strong loyalties that people have to consoles?
Yeah, like the PlayStation versus Xbox rivalry.
Right, and they were saying it's really intense on platforms like Twitter,
Oh, yeah. It gets pretty heated on Twitter.
Yeah. Like, people are really going at it.
Yeah, they're defending their console of choice.
Yeah, it's like a tribal thing.
It's like sports teams almost.
Yeah, exactly. But what they found interesting was that on TikTok, it's different.
Really? How so?
It's like people are much more fluid in their approach.
Yeah.
Like, they'll engage with content from both sides.
They're not so tied to one brand.
Yeah, it's more like a why not both kind of attitude.
Interesting. Like, they're just enjoying the games.
Yeah, and they gave this example of, like, someone playing Fortnite on Xbox, streaming it on their PS5, and then editing the video on TikTok.
Wow, that's like the ultimate cross-platform experience.
Right, it's like no one's batting an eye.
It's just about having fun and creating content.
Exactly. And they also talked about how powerful these TikTok communities can be in terms of influencing games.
Right.
They brought up the whole Hogwarts Legacy thing.
Oh, yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah. There are those debates and controversies.
Yeah, and calls for boycotts.
Yeah, all happening on TikTok. And it actually had a real impact on the game.
Like, people were canceling pre-orders.
Yeah, it affected sales, and it really changed the conversation around the game.
Yeah, TikTok can definitely shape public perception.
Absolutely. And then they get into these, like, really fun, wild predictions.
This is the fun part.
I know. So they're talking about the future of consoles.
Okay.
And, like, how TikTok might influence that.
All right, let's hear it.
So one of their predictions was that Xbox might release a console shaped like the TikTok interface.
Whoa, what would that even look like?
Like, you swipe left to skip cutscenes.
Okay, that's pretty out there.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But it's interesting to think about, like, how that kind of aesthetic could start leading into, like, hardware design.
It's not totally impossible.
Like, right. And then they were like, maybe the PlayStation will have a go viral button.
That's hilarious.
Like, you just press a button and it automatically
makes your gameplay go viral.
Yeah, it makes it go viral on TikTok.
That would be amazing.
I know, right? But it does kind of speak to, like, this desire to be seen.
To go viral.
To go viral, yeah.
Everyone wants their 15 minutes of fame.
And then they had this, like, really out there prediction.
Okay, what is it?
That by, like, 2030, consoles will be replaced by...
By what?
Mind-controlled TikTok live streams.
Whoa, what?
It's like you just think about a game and it starts streaming directly to TikTok and everyone can watch.
That's a bit scary.
I know, it's like Black Mirror stuff.
It is kind of Black Mirror-ish.
Yeah, but it's fun to think about.
It's fun to speculate.
Yeah, and then they brought it back down to earth by talking about, you know, still competing in classic games like Street Fighter.
Okay.
So, like, even with all this crazy future stuff, they're still going to be playing those.
The classic.
Yeah, the classic.
Never go out of style.
Exactly.
So what's the big takeaway from all this?
Well, it's clear that, like, the gaming world is changing.
Yeah, it's evolving rapidly.
Yeah, the console wars are still raging. But there are these new battlegrounds emerging.
Like TikTok.
Yeah, and TikTok and... these younger audiences.
Gen Z.
Yeah, Gen Z, they're like a major force now.
Yeah, they have a lot of influence.
And it's really pushing both Xbox and PlayStation to rethink how they do things.
Like their marketing strategies.
Yeah, their marketing, how they build communities, and even like what kinds of games they make.
Yeah, it's a whole new landscape.
It really is. So it makes you think, like, how are these companies going to adapt?
That's the big question.
Yeah, like how are they going to stay relevant to this younger audience?
And what about TikTok?
Yeah. What role is it going to play in the future of gaming?
Is it going to become even more important?
Yeah. Is it going to be like the main way that people discover and play games?
And will console loyalty become a thing of the past?
Yeah. Will people even care?
Yeah.
Whether it's Xbox or PlayStation?
Good questions.
Yeah. And I think the even bigger question is, like, are these changes in gaming like a sign of bigger changes happening in the world?
Like in media and how we consume content?
Exactly. Like, is this how younger generations are going to be engaging with everything?
Brands, products, entertainment?
Everything. Yeah. It's definitely something to think about.
It is.
So yeah, that's our deep dive into Console Wars 2.0, Xbox versus PlayStation versus TikTok teens.
That was a wild ride.
It was a wild ride.
A lot to think about.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.